some sore shoulders. Artists, creators, whatever you want to call yourselves these days, prompters. I have a bone to pick. I have a bone to pick, and it's been nagging at me. So I want to dive into it. Why is my voice so deep today? What is going on? Can we just vibe with this for a minute, for like a second? What could I say? What would I do if I had a voice that's just like naturally deep day to day? I don't know. It could be still sore from New Year's Eve. That could be a whole trip. I'm going to get to the topic. So I've recently been on Threads. You may have seen if you follow me on Threads. You don't have to, but you may have been, because I've been playing devil's advocate, which I'm prone to do every once in a while. I've been playing devil's advocate. I've been sitting back and going in and saying, "Hey, AI people, let's talk about the work which you do, and let's talk about how it's not art, and how it might be art, and how it's the art which you're creating, but it's not really what you want." We discussed a little bit of it last week when I was talking to my brother, but it came up with a second thought. It came up with this second topic in my head, which is kind of like the pretension around art and the world we live in, but also what we expect from an audience, from people like you. And it annoyed me because one of the main problems, which I think a lot of people have within the creative scene, is this arrogance of artists. This arrogance of artists to think that the world doesn't get it, to think that, no one understands, and that's why we're artists. We see the world from a different perspective. We see the world from the perspective of absolute majesty. We give ourselves a throne and look at everything and dissect everything, and that's why some artists think that they're better than anyone who doesn't create. Now, I think everybody has the capability to be artists. I'm very much a Ratatouille vibe when it comes to art, is that everyone can create. Not everyone should create. Not everyone makes something which is culturally impactful in a way which will change everything. Not everyone is that. That is very valuable to know. But I think as artists, we often forget that engaging with things which are defined as art is actually quite difficult. It's just something not everyone's naturally able to do. And there's no shame in that, right? Maybe I need to track this back a little bit. I think we have this view, right? We have this view that we create a piece, music, art, visuals, whatever you want, right? We create a piece, we put it out into the world, and then when people don't want to pay attention to it, we feel offended. I think this was led by Threads. I think someone had posted on Threads how they were upset that the world wasn't engaging with the stuff that they were making, and the world wasn't, taking notice. Like, I spent hours on this. I spent 600 hours on this painting. I spent thousands of pounds and dollars and did all the things, and why aren't you paying attention to it? This is pathetic. People don't get it. People don't want to engage with it. Well, yeah, sure. Why would they? When that's your attitude, Why would they? But also, why should they? What is your reasoning for them wanting to engage with it? What is your reasoning for them to be able to engage with it? If all you're going to do is drag them through the mud the moment they don't pay attention to it, it doesn't bear thinking about it. Like let's say if I baked a cake, right? I bake a cake, because we're going to use the cake analogy. I baked a cake. I spent hours and hours and hours, and I bought the best things, about all the ingredients, and I put them there, and I said, "Hey, here's my cake." And I showed it to a bunch of people, and they were hungry. They were like, "That's a nice cake. Congratulations. But that was a lot of work." No, I don't want a slice. I don't know. I'm not interested in buying cake. I'm not hungry. I'm diabetic. I can't eat that cake, so it'd be a waste. So, yeah. Sorry. And some artists, some bakers, would react to that extreme negative. How dare you? How dare you disrespect me? No one's disrespecting your cake. They're just not paying attention to it. Life happens. I'm sorry, I can't afford your cake. I needed to buy vegetables in order to feed my family. I needed to go to work. I needed to deal with the world. I needed to read the news and be impacted by every single calamitous war which is happening right now. And I needed to suffer. And I needed to feel pain. And I needed to be there for my family. And I needed to wipe my kid's ass. All of these things come into play when you're a human being within the world. So why, for the moment, would I sit down and look at your pretty drawing? That's the question creatives need to ask themselves. That's the question we need to ask ourselves. Because the expectation is on the audience for some reason for some people. And I think that's incredibly selfish. It's important to remember no one owes you their time, right? That's the initial jump off point of this. That's the thing you need to remember. No one owes you your time, their time. People owe you your time. People should pay you for your time. But no one owes you their time. No one owes you their attention. No one. They have their own lives to lead. There are things which are vastly outweighed. Sure, there are important pieces. There are important things being made in the world which do a lot of good. But realistically, other than survival, we're a low rung on the food chain. And also, I think it ignores things when we have this argument. It ignores that not everyone can really do this. It's. I think it is genuinely hard for most people to engage with art because it is such an unusual thing. And obviously, right? We became creatives because we have a brain which is wired by that. I think that's like a secondary good jumping off point, right? Is we became creatives because when we were children, we came out of the womb, most of us, some of us were cut out, but we got into the world. We made it into the world. We burrowed our way out, right? We found our way in, and we saw the things around us and were able to engage with them in a conceptual way. Everyone can do this, by the way. This is not distinct to an individual's in any way, shape, or form. Everyone can do this. It's just at some point, we also put that at a higher value than certain other things within the world. So it became a skill point for us. It became a skill part of the skill tree if you're going to gamify the world, which is also kind of sad, but we'll get there. You're going to gamify the world. You decided, I'm going to plunge all my points into this aspect of reality. And you developed that and you focused on that. You found more things which engaged with that. Other people didn't. Other people went, you know what? That doesn't really interest me. The analytical interests me. Let's put points into this skill tree. Let's put points into, the mathematician skill tree. And that's what they did. So for the rest of their lives, they began to develop it. And then 20, 30 years later, they're online, having a bagel, eating a crumpet, and they see something. Like, all right, yeah, sure, great. You drew that. Fantastic. Well done, But I've got quadratic equations to do. And that's my life now. So they didn't get that skill tree. We find it incredibly easy because we've been engaging with it. Some of us were compelled to engage with it. Some of us were pushed to engage with it. But deep down, that's there. And that's the beauty of when someone who doesn't create takes interest in what you're doing, because they're engaging that part of the skill tree. They've suddenly gone, oh, wait a minute, that's cool. That triggered something in me. That ticked that box. And so they dive into it. That's why I love showing work to people, right? That's why we do it. It's to initialize that spark in other people. That's what I want. And if your work doesn't do that, then I don't know, maybe that's a you problem. Maybe that's a problem with the work you're creating. This is something as well which I think gets lost on a lot of creators, is that work needs to be somewhat accessible. Like, it doesn't always need to be somewhat accessible, but it depends on the audience you're presenting it to. Like, if you create a really in-depth song which has all the lyricism and mastery of all the things in the world and the, whatever wordplay you want to go, you can show it to a bunch of people who do that stuff, and they'll go, this is fantastic. This is genius. This is the best thing in the world. This guy has done something which is fundamentally excellent. And then you'll show it to a regular person who's just chilling in their day-to-day life, and they'll be like, yeah, but it's not really Like, it's not listenable, right? It's not danceable. It's not something I want to sing along into my car, because I can't sing along in the car, right? I can't be like, none of that is sing alongable. I think I know every so often I bring it back to people like Eminem, but people like Eminem understood that. They understood that there is a level of lyricism which you can get to which turns people off, and it's the modern art scene, right? You know, there's a level of, and I discussed this with Martin, my brother. Taping a banana to a wall is a level of art concept which turns people off, because no one's going to want to paint that, put that on their wall. No one's going to want to step back and say, yeah, you know what my living room really needs? It needs decayed fruit and duct tape. That's what my living room really needs. No. What they want is a picture. They want something which it can actually put onto a wall and look at and be like, oh, I like this. Aesthetically, I like this. You know, I don't need the concept value. And I don't think this is the thing. I want to protect the audience a little bit, because I'm fed up with people complaining about people not understanding or seeing their work or not appreciating their work, because it's hard. Like, this is hard. It is hard for the general public to do. So if you're not giving them an accessibility line, what do you want to do? Also, the same with sales. People talk about sales all the time. Like, I'm not selling any work. Why aren't people buying my work? I don't know. Maybe because it's not food. Maybe because we don't know their lives. You know? Sure, there can be frustration in people buying stuff which you deem less worthy over your work, right? It's always sad when you see someone purchasing something from Amazon when they could have purchased something from a small company. You know, that's always sad. But at the same time, I don't think we should be guilting people into buying our work. I was having a discussion recently about cause and charity and how hard it is to get involved with these things, and it reminded me of a TV series. So I'm going to give some context for the Americans. So in the UK, there's a chef, which you may know, some Americans may know, called Jamie Oliver. He did a TV series which was about food, and it was all about exposing the fast food industry and bad food and all these kinds of things. There's a great scene, if you ever want to watch it, you should YouTube it, where he basically blends a chicken. He takes a chicken, cuts off all the good cuts, and then takes the remainder, the carcass, and then just blends it. And then he creates a chicken slurry, which, if you don't know, is how chicken nuggets are made. You create a slurry of chicken into a paste and then form it into shapes and bread it and deep fry it, and that's what chicken nuggets are. So he did this, but he did this in front of children. And at the end of it, he feeds the kids, and he's like, hey, so, right, you've seen how this is made, right? You should be shocked, you should be disgusted, you should be upset. And then the kids eat the chicken nuggets because it's chicken nuggets, and they're like, oh, that's wicked, and we don't care, Jamie Oliver. Fuck off. That's basically the example. But it wasn't the scene I was thinking of. What I was thinking of was, there's another great scene where he's talking about cheap chicken. He's talking about, it's a lot of chicken-based stuff. But he's talking about like these battery-farmed, abused animals, which are then pumped full of steroids and water and all these things. And they go to your supermarket, and you can get chicken for about £5. And that fundamentally, ethically, is wrong. We all know that. Everyone is aware of that. That is not the best chicken. It's also not the best chicken to eat. I mean, I don't even eat chicken anymore. But it's not the best chicken for you, for your health, or those kinds of things. And there is a working class mother there who basically says to Jamie, yeah, Jamie, that, like, we get it. Like, we understand the organically corn-fed, grass-fed, massaged feet chicken, which is the best life it's going to live in the short period of time it's going to live, is the thing which we should be eating, is the thing we should be feeding our families. But you know what, Jamie, as well? I can't fucking afford that. Right? I've got several kids to feed, and if I buy 5 chickens for these several kids, I can feed them for a long while, whereas paying the price for the organically breastfed chicken, I don't know what's going on with my chicken discussion, is going to cost me, I'm going to get like 2 chickens, and that's not going to feed this family. And you can see him break down a little bit. You can see him struggling with the duality of it all, in that, yes, this is a situation he doesn't find himself in anymore. He has the money to go out and buy the nice chicken and live a healthy, happy life with that. But some people aren't in that position. Some people aren't in the position where they can afford to not use things like Amazon and Temu. And whilst we know ethically it is wrong, that's the world they're living in. It's why you should never shame anyone for really what they're eating, because you don't know their background. Some people don't eat for days because of medical issues, and then if the first thing they want to eat is McDonald's, great, go fucking eat at McDonald's. Like, live yourself, get some food into you. It's difficult for some people to get food into themselves, so any food they can get into themselves helps. There's a great dietitian, health trainer, which I follow on Instagram, who does this thing where people talk a lot about like fake sugars and all these kinds of things in diet soda. But if getting water into you is the goal, and the way to get water into you is to drink diet soda, then drink diet soda, because more water into you is good. It's a small step. It's a stepping stone on the journey of things. And and this is why I got triggered to think about it. I was talking to this friend about charity and thinking about how, it's small steps. Like, not everything needs to be a cause you die on every day. I can't be out on picket line. I can't be doing this, that, and the other, because I have a life to think about. I have, reasons and rationales to not go do these things. There's safety to think about as well. But I do small things every day. Like, I donate to charity every month, and, I try to find causes which I'm passionate about and try to uplift the people around me. Those are simple things which cost me nothing, cost me barely any time, and I can just retweet and keep going and pass on the message of support. I bought boots the other day for a friend of mine who literally runs a non-profit, but their boots broke. So I was like, well, yeah, I can spare $50. Let's go get them boots to help them move through. So it's small increments. Small increments are what's important, is basically what I'm saying with that slight context. But switching back to the concept. So when we embrace the audience, when we embrace the people around us and say, hey, look at this thing, I think there's a thing there. There's a memory which needs to be struck. There's a memory which needs to be established, is that the people you're speaking to may struggle with this. It would be like a mathematician coming to me and saying, Graham, solve this equation. I'd be like, excuse me? Like, solve this equation. Here's this equation, needs solving, you have to solve it. I'm going to struggle. I understand numbers. I know they exist. There's many of them, at least 7. And I can look at them and say, hey, yeah, all right, well, this is going to take me some time. It's going to take me some time to digest. Any chance I can get some help with this? Any chance I can get some context with this? Any chance I can, have some pre-reading to do with this? But it's going to take some time, and it's not something I want to engage with either. It's something I'm being forced to engage with, something which is served to me. The algorithm said, hey, here's the thing, go deal with it. And you got to think about your artwork in that way. You sit down and create a painting, put it online, and people are like, yeah, I don't get it. Like, that's good, that's fine. That means I need to do better when I present my work. It gives me the context to say, yep, this is going to need a title. This is going to need context. I put Decoy, one of my paintings from 2025, up into a subreddit, and it got trashed. They hated it. They did not like it. I put the same painting into a different subreddit, which was about painting, and some people liked it, and I got some compliments from it. And that's the balance. I can't expect the audience to do the hard work for me. We have to remember that the public don't necessarily want what you're producing. And this is something which I think comes in extremely valuable when we talk about public art as well. People get really upset when public trash public art. Like, there's obviously comments which are just ignorant, which are like, oh, this cost all the money, and my taxes aren't going to pay. And most of the time, it's not even paying for it, by the way. Most of this public art is privately funded. I will just say that straight off the bat. Or it's funded by non-profits, or it's funded by people who just donated it. I digress. But when they come, it's like, oh, my kid could have painted that, blah, 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 blah. It's like, yeah, right, they get really upset that people would say this, that they would come in, and yeah, it's annoying. It's annoying that is the way, and that also that they feel the need to go and comment that's all well and good. But also there's a lot of fear there. Right? There's a lot of insecurity there. A lot of times they're saying this because they don't know what to do with this, and not knowing what to do with the thing you presented them with is a fearful place. It's an insecure place, and it's part of their reaction to it. It's them saying, oh yeah, I don't get this, therefore I've got to point out how stupid this is, otherwise other people will point to me and say that I'm stupid. And some artists will do that. Some artists will sit and go, "Oh yeah, no, you don't get it. You don't get it. You're not intelligent enough. You haven't had a cultural upbringing." Well, fuck that. No, fuck that. You should be dedicating more time in your life to helping them, to getting them that cultural upbringing, to indulging in engaging your audience and educating your audience to bring them closer to your work. Maybe that's why I do this kind of stuff. I was thinking about this the other day as well. Maybe why I keep going with waxing lyrical and philosophical topics and trying to engage the public mind space in discussions. And I think it's because I want to bridge that gap. I want to help give the information, which I find quite easy, in a way which allows other people to connect with it. I did the perspective video a year or so ago, and part of that was I wanted to create a tutorial on drawing perspective, but I didn't want it to just be a simple tutorial about drawing perspective. I wanted it to be conceptually about perspective as well, so anyone watching it would get all aspects of it. I think arts learning and creative learning can be part of a day-to-day, and it can be just as valuable to people in the fundamental functional parts of their lives, as well as their satisfaction with the world around them and dealing with the heavy concepts and topics and, cacophony of noise, which is the world. That's my personal belief. I don't know if I'm right. I don't know if I'll ever be right. I don't know if I really want to be right. Imagine being right. It'd be terrible. But that was my rant. There's 20 minutes of it. I apologize. My baseline is this. Artists, you need to expect less from an audience, or you need to put the effort in to help and present work in a way which is interactable, if that is your goal. Audience? Sounded like Tobuscus. That's a bad vibe. And to people who want to engage with that, fantastic. That's fantastic. That's a great thing. But you also don't need to feel guilty if you can't. And you don't need to feel guilty if you don't understand something. It's just up to you to ask the questions. It's up to you to talk about things and get into conversations about these things and maybe do a little bit of learning. Maybe speak to the artists. And if they disregard you, then they're a bad artist. Fuck them. If an artist is unwilling to answer questions about things, then they clearly don't need or want you. I think the only time you get that the only time you get that privilege is when you're huge. And then, you're doing sycophantic interviews and you're like, no, I'm not going to answer that question. It's very David Lynch. But that's my rant for the day. I wanted a slightly more upbeat topic to follow my previous episode. But until then, go out, engage with the world, or don't. And I'll talk to you guys later.